This is A World Gone Mad, Season 2, Episode 82, and I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. I give my commentary on national and world news and politics. So here we go. Continuing battles between Trump and the courts. Ending collective bargaining rights for federal workers. Hegseth's visit to Asia sends conflicting ideas versus Trump. Dow Jones sinks again. I wonder why. Senator Mark Kelly called a traitor. Vance's visit to Greenland ramps up the aggression. And I'll also talk about steak. Yum. Have I got news for you? Trump asked the Supreme Court to overturn Boasberg's ruling, blocking him from using the Alien Enemies Act for deportations. Now, President Donald Trump's administration on Friday asked the Supreme Court to wade into the fraught legal battle over enforcing the Alien Enemies Act, the wartime authority he used to rapidly deport alleged members of a Venezuelan gang. The emergency appeal, which asked the justices to overturn an order from U.S. District Judge James Boasberg blocking further deportations under the act, further thrusts the Supreme Court into Trump's whirlwind. It is perhaps the most significant matter now pending on the court's docket, dealing with his second term, and it sits at the center of an explosive confrontation between the White House and the judiciary. At issue in the case is Trump's invocation on March 15th of a wartime authority, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which gives him broad power to target and remove undocumented immigrants. Now, the law grants that authority in times of war, or when an enemy attempts an invasion or predatory incursion. The ultimate showdown between the courts and Trump, and if the courts fail in this showdown, I believe we rapidly slide down the rabbit hole with no turning back. Trump signs an executive order ending collective bargaining rights for many federal workers. President Donald Trump took his most consequential action against federal employee unions late Thursday, now signing an executive order aimed at ending collective bargaining for government employees whose work include national security aspects. The expansive order applies to workers across many federal agencies, including the Departments of State, Defense, Justice and Health, and Human Resources. It also impacts the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Federal Communications Commission, and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. A fact sheet released by the White House said the president needs a responsive and accountable civil service to protect our national security. The order is aimed at stopping federal unions who have declared war on President Trump's agenda, according to the fact sheet. Now, it noted that the largest union, the American Federation of Government Employees, has filed many grievances to block Trump's policies. President Trump refuses to let union obstruction interfere with his efforts to protect Americans and our national interests, the fact sheet said, noting that the president is using authority granted by the Civil Service Reform Act of 1978. A guidance issued Thursday by the Office of Personnel Management said that the agencies and divisions covered by the executive order no longer need to collectively bargain with federal unions. It noted that the agencies can conduct the widespread reduction in force, or IRF, that Trump had previously ordered without regard to provisions in terminated collective bargaining agreements. Likewise, any procedural restrictions on agencies, return to office mandates, won't be in effect after the agreements are terminated. Look, this is just a further clampdown by the Trump administration to curtail the rights of people and to further solidify Trump's iron fist approach to how he handles things in this country and in the world. And I'm being repetitive. And I'm sorry for doing this to you, the listeners, but until the Republicans in the Congress and the Senate stand up and draw a line in the sand against Trump, we have nothing to stop him and his agenda to remake our country and the world. U.S. Defense Chief Hegseth vows to counter China's aggression on first Asia visit. The United States will enhance its military alliance with the Philippines as it aims to reestablish deterrence to counter China's aggression in the Indo-Pacific region, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Friday during a trip to Manila. The efforts reflect the strength of the U.S.-Philippines ironclad alliance, particularly in the face of Communist China's aggression in the region, Hegseth said during a joint press conference with his counterpart, Gilbert Teodoro. The U.S. will deploy additional advanced military capabilities for joint training, enhance interoperability for high-end operations, and prioritize defense industrial cooperation, Hegseth told reporters. Hegseth made the remarks as he opened his first visit to Asia as defense chief, an important opportunity for U.S. President Donald Trump's administration to set a tone for its engagement in the region, which comes as Hegseth is under a cloud of scrutiny for discussing American war plans on commercial messaging app Signal. The Philippines has been on the front line of China's increasingly aggressive posture in Asia. Beijing seeks to assert its claims over the bulk of the South China Sea, despite an international ruling denying its sovereignty over the waterway. The Trump administration, Hegseth pledged, would truly prioritize a shift to the Indo-Pacific with the recognition that for the 21st century to be a free century, America needs to stand alongside our allies and partners shoulder to shoulder. And I want to repeat that because I'm going to talk about something. Hegseth says America needs to stand alongside our allies and partners shoulder to shoulder. And what Hegseth just said about standing along our allies, isn't it the opposite to what Trump did to the EU? And Trump being against Ukraine and against NATO and against basically Canada and Mexico. Anyone who's on our side, he's against. So I'm confused, and I'm saying this sarcastically. Trump is not shown any willingness to stand alongside his allies, and I don't know what Hegseth is talking about. Dow Jones sinks more than 700 points. Stocks are on track for their worst quarter since 2023. U.S. stocks were lower Friday as investors digested souring consumer sentiment and inflation data that showed an uptick in one of the Federal Reserve's key gauges, underscoring the delicate state of the economy as businesses brace for President Donald Trump's tariffs. Wall Street was also grappling with Trump's announcement on Wednesday of 25% tariffs on all cars shipped into the U.S., set to go into effect April 3rd. Trump also announced tariffs on car parts, like engines and transmissions, set to take effect no later than May 3rd, according to the proclamation he signed. And Wall Street gets rattled again. Why? Well, because like the rest of the world, and us, the citizens of America, we feel completely uncomfortable with Donald Trump in charge. There's no stability. It's like walking on quicksand right now, so no wonder that the Dow Jones is down again. Elon Musk doubles down and calls Senator Mark Kelly a traitor in an interview on Fox. Elon Musk basically stated that Mark Kelly should put the interest of America over the interest of another country. He was referring, of course, to Ukraine. Now, Senator Kelly responded back to those remarks to Musk by saying that Elon should stick to making rockets and cars and stay in his own lane. He's an unelected billionaire and the second most powerful man in the world. And he's probably pissed off at me for selling his Tesla, my car that I owned, and I got rid of it, Kelly concluded. Senator Mark Kelly is a decorated military man, former astronaut. Certainly the word traitor is a ridiculous, silly remark used by Elon Musk. The pot calling the kettle black is a perfect analogy with Musk calling Kelly a traitor. I guess with that viewpoint from Elon, then Wolfpack listeners, I guess I'm a traitor to America, and I guess you, all of you, the listeners, are also traitors to America if you support Ukraine. Silly season in our country continues. Donald the King bypasses Congress. The law of the courts to do whatever the hell he wants to do. Elon says whatever the hell he wants to say, which is free speech, but there's no rhyme or reason or reality to what Musk says. J.D. Vance accuses Denmark of neglecting Greenland, makes highest profile case for the U.S. control of the island. Vice President J.D. Vance on Friday made the highest profile case to date for American control of Greenland during a controversial visit to the semi-autonomous island, which its residents had resisted, and its leaders said the visit was unwelcome. We want to have good relationships with everybody, Vance said during a visit to an American military installation high above the Arctic Circle. But part of having good relations is showing your strength when you have to. It was the clearest message yet to Greenlanders, who have been watching with anxiety as President Donald Trump vows to acquire their land one way or another. Vance, who only decided in the last few days to make the trip, by the way, he did it because his wife, Usha, was getting slammed for her visit, and there were going to be protests everywhere she was going to visit. So basically, JD at the last minute said, I'm going to join my wife because I'm looking forward to it also. Why should she have all the fun? Well, Denmark, Vance said, has neglected its territory, and that America could no longer ignore Russian and Chinese alleged designs on the island. Our message to Denmark is very simple, Vance said. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. He repeatedly claimed the island was vulnerable and that the United States had no other option than to ramp up its presence there. Greenland would be better off coming under the United States security umbrella than you have been under Denmark's security umbrella, he said, saying it was the policy of the United States to see changes to the island's Danish leadership. So why the interest from Trump for Greenland? Rare earth minerals? Apparently there's abundance there in Greenland. Military strategic position in the world. A new world order vision. A fight to grab Greenland before Putin. All of this. Some of this. A lot of reasons why Trump wants Canada and Greenland. Trump and Putin share a similar world order viewpoint. As U.S. power recedes abroad, the White House has declared ambitions throughout the Western Hemisphere in a term that some commentators have compared to the Monroe Doctrine of 1823, under which the U.S. proclaimed itself the protector of the hemisphere, which goes butting heads with Trump's thing of not helping Europe, not helping Canada, not helping any allies, not helping Ukraine. It's just a mixed bag of messages from Donald, the delusional one. What else is to be expected from this man? And with each soundbite declaring that the U.S. should take back the Panama Canal, or that Canada should become the 51st state, Trump will find an enthusiastic ally in the Kremlin who will see Trump's jaded vision of a new world order reflected in another. We are in a completely new paradigm, potentially fraught with a lot of dangerous situations to come. And finally, Outback, the restaurant, is no longer America's king of steaks. Americans don't want Outback's Aussie-themed steaks anymore. Instead, they're craving Texas-style cuts from Texas Roadhouse and Longhorn's tender fillets. Texas Roadhouse and Longhorn sales topped Outback last year, and the chain's stocks are going in different directions. Texas Roadhouse's stock has increased around 15% over the last year, while shares of Longhorn owner Darden jumped around 25%. Meanwhile, Outback parent company Bloomin' Brands, the stock has tumbled more than 70% to roughly $8 a share. As inflation pressures cuts in consumer spending, Americans are abandoning casual dining chains they don't perceive as good value, such as Outback and TGI Fridays. Instead, they are shifting to Roadhouse, Longhorn, Chili's, and other chains they feel offer them a better deal when they go out to dinner. It's a steep fall for Outback, which defined the casual dining steakhouse model in the United States. Founded in 1988, customers jumped on Outback's cheap, juicy sirloin steaks, deep-fried onion blossoms during the 1990s and 2000s. But Outback's mistakes and competitors' innovative strategies have tipped the power order in the restaurant steak wars. Outback hiked prices too high, relied too heavily on promotions to draw diners, and cut costs too far. Customers and analysts alike say food quality suffered, table service slowed, restaurants became dingy. Outback is also more expensive. The chain's check average was $29 per check last year, $6 above Roadhouse, and $2.50 more than Longhorn. That allowed Roadhouse to peel off Outback's budget-conscious customers. Well, Longhorn won diners by increasing the size of its steaks. Both chains also increased prices at a slower pace than Outback while investing in their staffs and restaurant remodels. Now, in fairness, from my point of view, I haven't been to any of these three in a very long time, maybe due to COVID in 2019, and over the years, my girlfriend and I were being very cautious. Also due to pricing over the years, tightness of the income. We felt it was out of line to go to these restaurants. So how do you, the listener, how do you feel? Have you visited any of these restaurants, Roadhouse, Texas Roadhouse, Longhorn, Outback? Do you feel that the quality has suffered at Outback? What is your favorite steak place? If you care to comment about this or anything in this episode, or even just to say hello, Jeff, would be nice to hear from some of you. By the way, to a couple of people, I want to thank you who sent me good wishes about my health that I announced on last episode being a short episode. Thank you for taking the time to send me a comment and feedback. Truly do appreciate it. You can reach me at wolfpacklistener@gmail.com, 833-399-9653, toll-free voicemail box. Or leave me a comment on Blue Sky. And if you're on Apple or Spotify, leave a comment. Leave a rating. That pushes me up in the rankings and helps me to go higher in their mind. Thank you. I appreciate that. Please check out my Substack. I just started this again. You can find it on Substack under Jeff Allen Wolf, The Wolf's Den, or you can contact me. I'll send you a direct link to make it easier for you. I'll be back again Monday. This is A World Gone Mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, and without your comments, your feedback, your engagement with me, I'm sitting in a room talking to myself. Stay hopeful.